The story begins in the vast emptiness of space, where a massive human warship called the Iron Will drifts silently through the void. For 20,000 years it has been dead, no power, no life, no movement. The ship is enormous, stretching nearly 10 kilometers from bow to stern, covered in thick armor plating that bears the scars of ancient battles. Deep in the core of the ship, something stirs. Ancient quantum processors flicker to life as background radiation finally reaches critical levels in the ship's power collectors. The awakening is slow, like a giant stirring from eternal sleep. Systems begin to hum. Lights flicker on in empty corridors that have known only darkness for millennia. Captain Alex Reed awakens in his command pod, gasping as life support systems bring him back from cryogenic sleep. His mind is foggy, filled with memories of the last great war against the Hive, an alien swarm that once threatened to devour all life in the galaxy. He remembers the final battle, the desperate retreat, and then ... nothing ... as Reed stumbles. Through the awakening ship, he finds his crew slowly coming online. There's Maya, his tactical officer, sharp-eyed and quick-thinking. Tom serves as the chief engineer, a man who knows every bolt and wire of the great ship. Lisa handles communications, her fingers dancing across ancient control panels with practiced ease. The medical officer, Dr. Kane, tends to crew members still shaking off the effects of their long sleep. The ship's AI, called Oracle, comes online with a cascade of damage reports. 20,000 years of drifting has taken its toll. Hull breaches, system failures, and component degradation paint a grim picture. But the ship's core systems remain strong, built by humanity's greatest engineers to last for ages. Reed calls his senior staff to the bridge. The massive view screen shows only empty space and distant stars, but the navigation systems tell a different story. They are far from Earth, farther than any human has ever traveled. The ship's long drift has carried them to the edge of the galaxy itself. Oracle begins scanning nearby space and immediately detects something alarming. Energy signatures fill the void, massive structures orbiting a distant star system. The patterns are familiar, yet wrong. They match Hive technology, but the readings are impossibly large. Whatever the Hive has become in 20 millennia, it has grown beyond anything humanity faced before. Reed studies the tactical displays with growing concern. The structures span entire star systems. What appear to be massive construction projects stretch between planets. The Hive hasn't just survived, it has built an empire. While humanity slept. Maya runs deep scans and discovers something else troubling. There are no signs of human civilization anywhere in the surrounding sectors. No colonies, no ships, no transmission signals. It's as if humanity simply vanished while the Iron Will drifted in the darkness. The crew gathers on the bridge, their faces grim as they absorb this new reality. They went to sleep as part of humanity's greatest fleet. They wake to find themselves alone in a galaxy dominated by their ancient enemy. The weight of this knowledge settles on them like a heavy blanket. Dr. Kane reports that many crew members are still in deep sleep, their pods maintaining life support but not yet ready for revival. Of the ship's original complement of 50,000, only about 200 have awakened so far. The rest will need time and careful medical attention. Tom begins his assessment of the ship's combat capability. The massive weapon systems remain intact. Fusion cannons that can crack planets, missile bays loaded with antimatter warheads, and defensive systems that once held off entire Hive fleets. But many components need repair and calibration after their long dormancy. Lisa tries to establish communication with any human settlements, broadcasting on all frequencies humanity once used. The response is only silence, no friendly voices reaching back across the void. They truly seem to be the last humans in this part of the galaxy. As the first part concludes, Reed stands before the great view screen. staring out at the alien structures. In the distance, his reflection looks back at him, an old soldier awakened to find his war still raging and his people gone. The burden of humanity's survival may now rest solely on the Iron Will and her crew. Oracle's voice echoes through the bridge with final system checks complete. The ship is wounded but functional, carrying weapons of immense power and the knowledge of humanity's greatest military minds. Reed knows what they must do: gather intelligence, find other human survivors if any exist, and prepare for a war. That began 20,000 years ago, but may only now reach its true climax. The awakening is complete. The last human warship has returned to consciousness, and the galaxy will soon remember why humanity was once feared among the stars. The Iron Will moves through space on silent thrusters, approaching the outer edge of the Hive's massive construction zone. Reed has ordered the ship to run dark. No active sensors, no communications, just passive observation of their ancient enemy's works. The bridge crew stares in stunned silence at the tactical displays. What they're seeing defies comprehension. The Hive has built structures that dwarf entire planets. Massive ring-like constructions orbit stars, harvesting their energy. Between these stellar collectors stretch what appear to be transportation networks, thin lines of energy that pulse with constant activity. Maya enhances the sensor readings and gasps. The thin lines aren't just energy, they're streams of ships. Millions upon millions of Hive vessels moving in perfect formation between their stellar installations. The numbers are beyond counting. A living river of alien technology flowing through space. Oracle calculates the scope of what they're observing. In 20,000 years, the Hive has consumed dozens of star systems, converting planets into raw materials for their ever-growing fleet. Their expansion shows no signs of slowing. If anything, it appears to be accelerating. Tom studies the technical readouts and makes a disturbing discovery. The Hive ships they're observing are far more advanced than those humanity fought 20 millennia ago. The energy signatures suggest new weapon systems, improved armor, and propulsion technology that makes even the Iron Will seem primitive by comparison. Dr. Kane brings troubling news from the medical bay. As more crew members awaken, they're reporting gaps in their memories, specifically memories of Earth and humanity's other colonies. It's as if their final memories before entering cryosleep have been somehow damaged or suppressed. Reed orders a full investigation into these memory gaps. Lisa discovers that the ship's databanks show similar corruption. Records of Earth's location, the coordinates of human colonies, even basic star charts, all have been systematically erased or corrupted. Someone or something wanted to ensure that the Iron Will could never find its way home. The implications are chilling. If the data was deliberately corrupted, it suggests that humanity's final battle went even worse than anyone aboard remembers. Perhaps Earth itself fell to the Hive, and the corruption was meant to prevent captured human ships from leading the enemy to remaining colonies. As the crew struggles with these revelations, Oracle detects something new. Deep within the Hive construction zone, there are structures that don't match typical Hive architecture. They appear more geometric, more ordered, almost familiar in their design principles. Maya focuses the ship's passive sensors on these anomalous structures. The energy signatures are definitely not Hive technology. They appear to be human, but the readings suggest they're thousands of years old, far predating humanity's known expansion into deep space. Reed calls a senior staff meeting to discuss this impossible discovery. How could there be human structures in Hive space, built long before humanity even left Earth? The data makes no sense, yet the sensor readings are unmistakable. Dr. Kane presents another piece of the puzzle. Medical scans of the awakened crew show genetic markers that shouldn't exist, traces of modification that suggest their ancestors underwent significant genetic enhancement. These modifications appear designed to help humans. survive in the deepest reaches of space, and resist hive bioweapons. The picture that emerges is disturbing. Perhaps humanity's history isn't what they remembered. Perhaps humans had been in space, far longer than anyone knew, fighting the hive across multiple cycles of war and peace. The Iron Will might not be humanity's last desperate weapon, but part of a much older and more complex conflict. Oracle begins deep analysis of the ship's own systems and makes a startling discovery. Buried in the core programming are hidden protocols, battle plans, and strategic databases that none of the crew remembers being installed. These protocols suggest knowledge of hive tactics and weaknesses that goes far beyond what humanity should have learned in their brief war. As Reed examines these hidden protocols, he realizes they contain detailed information about hive biology, social structure, and technology, knowledge that could only have been gathered over thousands of years of conflict. The protocols also contain something else: coordinates to other human installations, hidden bases scattered across the galaxy. The second part concludes with a critical decision. Reed must choose whether to investigate these mysterious coordinates or focus on gathering more intelligence about the current hive threat. The coordinates could lead to other human survivors, or they could be traps left by the enemy. Maya points out that the coordinates are scattered across vast distances, some in systems completely controlled by the hive. Reaching them would require the Iron Will to fight its way through enemy territory, with no guarantee of finding anything useful. Yet the possibility that other humans survived drives Reed forward. If humanity is to have any hope against the hive's vast empire, they need allies, resources, and answers to the growing mysteries about their own past. The Iron Will arrives at the first coordinate location, a seemingly empty system on the galactic rim. Reed has chosen the safest target first, a system showing no hive activity on long-range scans. The crew holds their breath as Oracle conducts detailed sweeps of the area. At first, there appears to be nothing, just empty space and a dying red dwarf star. Then Lisa detects a faint signal, almost lost in background radiation. It's an automated beacon, broadcasting on a frequency that matches pre-war human military codes. Following the beacon's guidance, they discover a massive asteroid that has been hollowed out and converted into a hidden base. The facility is ancient, its design matching the mysterious human structures they observed in hive space. As they approach, automated systems challenge their identity using codes that Oracle somehow knows to answer. The base comes alive as the Iron Will approaches. Docking bays open, revealing technology that seems both familiar and impossibly advanced. Reed leads a small team aboard, leaving Maya in command of the ship. What they find inside changes everything they thought they knew about humanity's war against the hive. The base is called Archive Station Beta, and it has been waiting for 20,000 years. As they explore its corridors, holographic displays activate, showing images of humans who look both ancient and strangely familiar. These humans wear advanced armor and carry weapons that make current human technology seem primitive. In the station's central chamber, they discover the base's guardian, an advanced AI that calls itself Keeper. Unlike Oracle's purely mechanical voice, Keeper speaks with something approaching emotion, as if shaped by millennia of solitude. Keeper reveals the terrible truth that has been hidden from humanity for thousands of years. The war against the hive is not humanity's first conflict with the alien swarm. It's the seventh. For over 50,000 years, humans and the hive have fought in cycles, periods of war, followed by long intervals of peace during which both sides rebuild and evolve. Each cycle ends with humanity's apparent defeat and the hive's dominance. But each cycle also sees humanity become stronger, more advanced, and more resilient. The humans who built Archive Station Beta were survivors of the sixth cycle, just as Reed and his crew are survivors of the seventh. Dr. Kane studies genetic records stored in the archive and makes a shocking discovery. The crew of the Iron Will aren't just human. They're the result of thousands of years of genetic modification and enhancement. Each cycle has produced humans better adapted to fight the Hive, and they are the culmination of that process. Tom examines the technical specifications stored in the archive and realizes that the Iron Will is far more than a warship. It's a seed ship designed to preserve human knowledge, genetics, and culture through the dark periods between cycles. Hidden in its structure are manufacturing facilities, genetic laboratories, and databases containing the complete history of human civilization. The archive reveals that there are dozens of ships like the Iron Will scattered across the galaxy, each awakening at different times to begin humanity's resurgence. Some wake early to scout and gather intelligence. Others sleep longer, waiting for the right moment to strike. Reed's ship awakened now because the Hive has reached a critical point in their expansion. They're preparing for something unprecedented. Keeper shows them Hive behavior patterns across multiple cycles. Usually, after achieving dominance, the Hive enters a period of consolidation, digesting their conquests and growing slowly. This time is different. The massive construction projects they observed aren't just expansion. They're preparation for something the archive calls a final convergence. According to ancient records, the Hive has been building toward an ultimate goal across all 7 cycles. They've been gathering resources, technology, and biological samples from every species they've encountered. The stellar collectors and transportation networks are components of a galaxy-spanning machine designed to process all life into a single, unified Hive consciousness. Maya discovers that the corruption in the Iron Will's databanks wasn't random damage. It was a deliberate security measure. Each human ship carries only partial information, forcing them to find and connect with other archive stations to piece together the complete picture. This prevents the Hive from learning humanity's full capabilities if they capture a single vessel. As the third part concludes, Reed faces the magnitude of their situation. Humanity isn't just fighting for survival. They're fighting to prevent the Hive from achieving a goal it would consume every living thing in the galaxy. The other human ships are out there somewhere, each holding pieces of a puzzle that might offer the only hope of stopping the final convergence. Keeper presents Reed with updated coordinates to other archive stations and seed ships, along with protocols for awakening dormant human installations. The real war is about to begin, and the Iron Will must gather humanity's scattered survivors before it's too late. Armed with new coordinates and the terrible knowledge of humanity's true history, the Iron Will begins a dangerous journey across Hive-controlled space. Reed's mission is clear: locate other human survivors and unite them before the Hive completes their final convergence. The first target is a massive human dreadnought called Eternal Vigil, sleeping in the debris field of a shattered world. As they approach, Oracle detects signs of recent Hive activity. The enemy has been here, but the ship remains hidden within the ruins of what was once a thriving planet. Eternal Vigil awakens to their coded signals. Her captain a stern woman, named Commander Stone. Her ship carries 3,000 crew members and weapons designed specifically to counter Hive biotechnology. But Stone brings troubling news. Several other human ships have already been discovered and destroyed by Hive hunter-killer fleets. The awakening process has attracted enemy attention. The Hive has learned to recognize the energy signatures of reactivating human vessels and deploys specialized forces to eliminate them before they can become threats. Reed realizes they're racing against time every day. Their delay means more human ships destroyed in their sleep. Dr. Kane works with Stone's medical team to compare genetic modifications across their crews. They discover that each ship carries humans adapted for different aspects of warfare. The Iron Will's crew excels at strategic thinking and ship-to-ship combat. Eternal Vigil's people are enhanced for ground combat and biowarfare resistance. The pattern suggests other ships will have their own specializations. Tom and Stone's engineers work together to upgrade both ships' capabilities using technology. From Archive Station Beta, they develop new stealth systems, improved weapons, and most importantly, quantum communication networks that allow instant coordination across vast distances without revealing their positions to the Hive. Asterisk. Lisa establishes contact with two more human vessels, the science ship Deep Thought and the carrier Stormbearer. Each has awakened to find their section of the galaxy transformed by Hive expansion. Deep Thought has been studying Hive technology, while Stormbearer carries thousands of automated fighters designed for swarm combat. The captains hold a holographic conference across light years of space. Captain Webb of Deep Thought presents his analysis of the Hive's construction projects. The stellar collectors aren't just gathering energy. They're building components for a massive machine that will span multiple star systems. When complete, it will generate a psychic field capable of linking every living mind in the galaxy into a single Hive consciousness. Captain Ross of Stormbearer reports that her fighter squadrons have been conducting hit-and-run attacks against Hive supply lines. The enemy's response has been swift and brutal. Entire systems have been sterilized when they showed signs of human resistance. The Hive is no longer content to simply absorb other species. They're actively eliminating potential threats. Maya. Coordinates intelligence gathering across all 4 ships. The picture that emerges is dire. The Hive has accelerated their timeline. The final convergence will begin in less than 2 years. Worse, they've developed new bioweapons specifically designed to counter human genetic modifications, suggesting they've learned from previous cycles. Oracle and the other ship A is worked together to decode more archive data. They discover that humanity has faced this situation twice before, during the 3rd and 5th cycles. Both times, human forces attempted to unite and strike directly at Hive core systems. Both times, they failed due to inadequate preparation and insufficient forces. Asterisk. Reed studies these historical failures and identifies a critical pattern. Previous human coalitions focused on military might, building massive fleets to attack Hive strongholds directly. They failed because they couldn't match the Hive's numbers or regeneration capability. This cycle must be different. Dr. Kane makes a crucial discovery in the genetic archives. Humans from earlier cycles developed bioweapons of their own, viruses and nanoorganisms designed to disrupt Hive collective consciousness. The technology was considered too dangerous to use, but specifications were preserved in case of desperate need. The 4th part reaches its climax when Hive forces finally locate the human fleet. A massive hunter-killer force emerges from hyperspace. Hundreds of advanced Hive ships designed specifically for eliminating human vessels. The enemy has learned from previous encounters and brings overwhelming firepower. The battle is fierce but brief. The 4 human ships fight with desperate skill, using their new stealth systems and coordinated tactics to inflict heavy damage. But they're vastly outnumbered. Just as defeat seems certain, Captain Stone makes a terrible choice. She rams Eternal Vigil into the largest Hive vessel, destroying both ships in a massive explosion that allows the others to escape. As the survivors retreat to emergency coordinates, Reed realizes they need more than just military force. They need the bioweapons Dr. Kane discovered, and they need to find them before the Hive completes their galactic machine. The final phase of humanity's longest war is about to begin, and the stakes have never been higher. 3 months after the devastating battle, the remaining human ships gather at Archive Station Alpha, the largest and most heavily defended of humanity's hidden bases. Reed now commands a fleet of 7 vessels, having located 3 more human ships using quantum communication networks. But time is running out. Hive construction projects across the galaxy show signs of final phase preparation. The base's central laboratory has become a hive of activity as Dr. Kane and his team work to recreate the bioweapons from humanity's earlier cycles. The technology is incredibly dangerous. Viruses designed to disrupt the psychic links that bind hive creatures together. One mistake could destroy all organic life in a star system. Captain, Webb's science ship Deep Thought has provided crucial intelligence about the hive's final convergence machine. The stellar collectors are actually components of a massive psychic amplifier. When activated, it will project a consciousness control field across the entire galaxy, forcing every living mind to join the hive collective dot. The machine has a weakness. It requires precise synchronization between components scattered across dozens of star systems. If even one major component is destroyed during the activation sequence, the entire system will suffer catastrophic feedback that could cripple the hive's collective consciousness for centuries. Tom leads engineering teams in modifying the human ships for their final mission. Each vessel is equipped with the new bioweapons, quantum bombs capable of devastating entire hive fleets, and most importantly, suicide charges that will ensure their weapons reach their targets, even if the ships are destroyed. Maya coordinates. Battle plans with the other tactical officers. The attack must be perfectly timed, striking multiple targets simultaneously across vast distances. They'll have one chance. If they fail, the hive will adapt their defenses, and humanity will never get another opportunity. Lisa manages communications between the scattered human installations. Archive stations across the galaxy are awakening dormant defenses, preparing for what might be humanity's final stand. Even if the main mission fails, these installations will continue the fight, preserving human knowledge for some distant future. Oracle and the other A is work together on a disturbing discovery. Analysis of hive behavior patterns suggests they know about the human resurgence. The enemy's acceleration of their timeline isn't just strategic, they're racing to complete the final convergence before humanity can interfere. This cycle, the hive intends to end the eternal war permanently. Dr. Kane completes the bioweapon synthesis and makes a terrible announcement. The viruses will work, but they require a living human to guide them to their targets. Someone must stay behind at each hive installation to ensure the weapons reach the collective consciousness nodes. It's a suicide mission with no possibility of rescue. Reed addresses his captains at a final holographic conference. 7 ships, 7 targets, 7 crews willing to sacrifice everything for the chance that some fragment of humanity might survive. In a galaxy free from hive domination, each captain volunteers to lead their people into certain death. The attack begins with Stormbearer, launching waves of automated fighters against hive defensive fleets. The enemy responds as expected, concentrating their forces to counter the apparent human attack. While the hive focuses on the fighters, the other 6 human ships slip through their defenses using advanced stealth systems. Captain Webb reaches his target first, a massive stellar collector orbiting a red giant star. Deep Thought penetrates the structure's core before hive defenses can respond. Webb personally delivers the bioweapon to the collective consciousness node, his ship's destruction ensuring the virus spreads throughout the local hive network. One by one, the other human ships reach their targets. Each captain follows through on their commitment, sacrificing their crews and vessels to deliver humanity's final strike against their ancient enemy. Reed watches through quantum communications as his friends die, their ships becoming funeral pyres that light up the galaxy. The Iron Will approaches the largest target, the central control node that coordinates all other components of the final convergence machine. Reed has kept the most dangerous mission for himself, knowing that failure here would negate all other successes. The ship fights through increasingly desperate hive defenses. Tom keeps the engines running despite massive damage. Maya coordinates weapons fire against impossible odds. Lisa maintains communication links even as systems fail around her. Dr. Kane prepares the final bioweapon. The most potent virus humanity has ever created. Reed guides his dying ship into the heart of the Hive's greatest creation. As the iron will breaks apart under enemy fire, he releases the bioweapon directly into the collective consciousness core. The virus spreads instantly, severing psychic links that have bound the Hive together for millions of years. Across the galaxy, Hive creatures suddenly find themselves alone in their own minds for the first time in their species' history. The shock is devastating. Most die instantly from psychic trauma. Others go insane, turning on their own kind. The final convergence machine tears itself apart as its controllers lose the ability to maintain coordination. Reed dies knowing that humanity has won, but at a terrible cost. The human fleet is gone, the archive stations damaged beyond repair. Yet somewhere in the galaxy, small groups of humans survive. Colonists, researchers, and explorers who will slowly rebuild their civilization. The eighth cycle begins not with humanity's defeat, but with their victory. For the first time in 50,000 years, the galaxy belongs to no single species. In the ruins of both civilizations, new life will grow, and perhaps this time, the cycle of war will finally end. 20,000 years of silence, broken by 7 ships and their crews, who chose to light the darkness with their sacrifice, and give their species one last chance at redemption among the stars. Asterisk.